Walter Layton Barrett. I was in the Army, artillery. I was on Stone Mountain. I wasn't in the Army then. I didn't go in the Army till I believe it was either February or March of '43. I was upset. I was upset. I didn't know much about any of that stuff then. I'd never thought much about it. But it didn't take long to find out. It was 134th AAA Gun Battalion. It was a 90 millimeter anti-aircraft outfit. Highly mobile. Highly mobile. Well, the Germans were sending those old flying bombs, and we were set up on the coast of England, down south of Dover, and shot those things down. They had about a ton of TNT in them, and they made a terrible mess when they landed or crashed. And that's what we were there for. And I don't remember how many we shot down. It was a bunch. When it started, Crinkelt, it was just a little wide place in the road, but I remember it because that's where it started. The winters, the temperatures were very low, lots of snow, and it was very uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable. And we did not have the proper winter clothing. We just didn't have it. The Germans that we captured had much better clothing than we did. I can't remember a lot about it, except we were scared to death and thankful when it was over. That was my second battle star for the Battle of the Bulge. I saw it start. There were over, I've heard several different numbers, but the first one I heard that there were over 50,000 casualties in the Battle of the Bulge. We had roughly 10,000, and the Germans had 40. Then I heard that there was 80,000. I don't know. No, you can't forget it. You can't. All you can do is thank God you were not one of them. That's a hard one. There's a lot of it I can never forget. And I guess seeing those American soldiers stacked in 2.5-ton trucks with blood running out the back, every time they stopped and start off, the blood would gush out of the back. There, but by the grace of God, could have been me. I'll never forget that sight. It's I've learned to live with it over the years, but it was that offside. Why the United States Army let that line get so thin in there, they actually thought it was about over. Just, well, they can handle that. But it didn't work that way. Guts. You'd be surprised how different a group will fight when they have to and when they want to. it's a whole different ball game. And old George Patton, he helped us a lot. He got there, he was way off somewhere else, and he got there in an unbelievable short time, and his tanks made a big difference. And the third was from the Ruhr to the Rhine River. And we went to the Rhine to protect this railroad bridge that they had found partially intact, and which I saw it fall in. The engineers were working on it and trying to rebuild it, and it fell in. That's where I saw my first jet airplane. I was manning a 50 caliber machine gun on my tractor, and I looked up, and there I saw it before I heard it. And he dived, made a dive at the bridge. He missed it, of course. So then we got a great number of people across before it fell in, and then they put up the pontoon, and I crossed the pontoon. My tractor weighed 36,000 pounds. My gun weighed 16,000 pounds, and I had a full crew, and I could see the bridge from here up to the door, but I could not see where I was riding. I was in the water, but the runways had those little, I could feel it when the tracks on my tractor would touch the side. And that river, I believe, they said was 900 feet wide there with a current of 7 miles an hour. Well, we just went on into Germany. And it wasn't as rough after that. They were more willing to give up. And there was always some idiot that still thought Hitler could win. But most of them, when you got them in a place, they'd give up. It was much better than the Bulge. No, I didn't go all the way to Berlin. I don't remember the names of those towns. I went through Cologne and Aachen, Cologne, and Dresden. I don't remember where they. No, the names weren't important then. I was just out guarding something, and somebody came by. In fact, the company commander came by and said, "Wrap it up, Barrett, the war's over." And so I just wrapped it up, and well, I had too many points to go to the Pacific. I did not have enough to come home right then. So they made security guards of us, and we stayed from the time the war was over. I finally got home in February of '46. Oh, well, we were happy. We were happy. Of course, things had quietened down the last few weeks of it. It wasn't afraid you're going to get your head blown off every minute. But we were greatly thrilled that it was over. No, well, I had a beautiful wife waiting for me, and she met me at the train station. I mean, at the Army station where I was discharged, my brother brought my dad and my wife down, and it was quite a reunion. It was wonderful. I was one of the younger people in my outfit, because mostly it was made up mostly of old 10th Coast Guard, which where we got our cadre, and from up on the northeast coast. And I was one of the younger men in my outfit. And very few of them, if any, are still living. Yeah. I remember the reaction, because I was scared to death that they would keep going and I'd have to go to that part. And that sealed it for me. I knew when that went off that I would not have to go to the Pacific, for which I still thank the good Lord that I did not have to go there, because those guys had it rougher than we did. The Japanese people had been taught that we were the criminals and that we would kill them, just mutilate them. And the civilians, when I didn't see this, but I read about it, that when a group of Americans would go in to take a little place, that even the women and children would commit suicide because they didn't want to be captured, what they had been told. And that wasn't true in Europe. Well, there were a few nuts in Germany. There were quite a few. But most of them were decent people. One time, we were moving up, and I was in the lead vehicle, moving up to a position, and we stopped for a break, and this German soldier came out of the woods, threw down his rifle, and ran and grabbed me around the waist and started slapping me on the back, saying, "I'm going home, I'm going home." I said, "Where's home?" He said, "Brooklyn, man, Brooklyn." He was 15 years old, had gone to Germany to visit his grandparents right before the war, and they wouldn't let him leave. And a 15-year-old boy, I'm the happiest person I've ever seen in my life. When we first got there, it was normal to get up and have your breakfast, and those old buzz bombs would start coming in, and we'd shoot them down. But once you got on the ground of Europe, there was never a normal day. You could not expect something to happen, and it happened. You just took whatever come along. When I had 700 anti-tank mines on a 2.5-ton truck and met a German tank in the road. Well, I hadn't been sent to the ammo dump to pick them. I was the gopher. The tractor drivers, when they thought you were going to be all right there for a little while, they'd take us and make us take the trucks and haul whatever needed to do. So I was sent in to get them. And I got 700 anti-tank mines on my truck and started back. But while I was loading, the Germans captured the road I went in on that I did not know. And I'm driving along about 9 or 10 o'clock at night, going downhill, and I met this German tank. And yeah, it scared the daylights out of me. Because if he got a shot in that box of anti-tank mines, there wouldn't have been enough to identify. But fortunately, I was going downhill, and before he could turn around, I got hit the gas and got scooted on out. Yes, it made me a better person. I was raised in a Christian family, but I never really realized what it meant to be protected by God until I got over there and somebody started shooting at me. It's some things you just can't explain. And no, I did not. I did not. Those people that are doing that don't know what's going on in the world. They don't know, they don't realize what they have and what they're working toward. I've seen both ends of it. This is the greatest country in the world. But let me tell you something, I have crawled on my hands and knees and picked up rocks for 10 cents an hour. And I'm proud of what we have now. Well, I can understand that because I was one of the younger people in my group, and in 3 weeks I'll hit 95. Most of them are gone. My outfit used to have, would have a 1-year meeting and meet somewhere, maybe Baltimore or Detroit or somewhere, and it was great to be with my old buddies. But the last one, there were 6 people showed up. They're gone. I'm just thankful to be a part of it. And I think it's a day that should be celebrated, because unless you've been there, you can't even imagine what we went through. It's they don't know what they're doing. I will assure you, anybody that's been where I've been, and I was one of the fortunate ones, but anybody that's been where I've been and been through what I have can look at that flag and salute it. There's been some screw-ups, and we're going through some of them right now. But it's still the greatest place on earth.